Yay, we're live.
We're live. Hello,
Yay.
everyone. Welcome to Verse and Vibe, a special heart centered edition because definitely after the last few days, I think we could all use a little heart and a little extra connection to our heart. Oh, I love the heart glasses, Joe. So we're here today with Dr. Erika Rosenberg and Joe Kyle Jr.
Hello.
reading the words of Rumi. Welcome to Verse and Vibe, Erika and Joe.
Welcome.
Thank you for
Thank
joining
you, Rachel
us.
Ann.
I was sharing it on Facebook, so now I'm turning off my thing so I cannot be disturbed. There we go.
Yeah, we're going to give people a chance to tune in to the live broadcast. As you know, we'll spend the first few minutes just bantering a little bit about the state of affairs. Maybe we'll banter less about the state of affairs since they're not exactly what a lot of us would like them to be. But the good thing is that in our lives, we can take actions and behaviors that can help fix those things for generations to come. So speaking of
Here, here.
actions we can take, we are dedicating today's episode to Black Lives Matter and to all of our brothers and sisters, and we'll do better. I promise. We promise. So the link to donate is in the comments. Feel free to support this cause as our virtual tip jar of the day. The Erika and Joe are not seeking their personal tip jars. We are looking to raise money for Black Lives Matters because that's what's important right now. And what's important is all of you joining us on this Saturday afternoon. So, Erika, thank you for joining us. Joe,
Thank
thank you for joining us.
you.
Thanks
How's
for having
everything
us.
going other than some of the other things that are going?
It's going, One of the reasons I like sharing the poetry of Rumi, like we're going to today, is even though he was this incredibly romantic poet, he had this gritty sense of realism and generating a big enough heart to accommodate it all. So I hope that we can kind of feel that vibe, as we're moving through this session today. And I'm glad to be part of it, and to hang with Joe for me is just such great fun. So, yay, Thanks,
Yeah.
Rachel, for inviting me. Yeah.
My pleasure. So, yeah, Joe, when Erika and I were talking about what musical accompaniment she was thinking about, she put a lot of time into it. And then the light bulb went off. And when she told me about you, she was so excited. And she was like, I can't wait, and da da da. So, I'm so glad that you decided to join us. So,
That's
present.
fabulous. I really appreciate the spirit of this gathering, and I'm looking forward to creating something here right on the fly, right here, right now.
Yes, with the stand-up bass. This is the first Verse and Vibe episode with the stand-up bass. So I'm very excited to watch the series develop as different musical instruments come in to accompany my narrators. Last week we had Jaylene the first time on drums. Obviously, we're dealing with the sound of the internet, so you might need to turn it up a little bit, maybe turn it down a little bit. Please don't comment about the sound, though, if you don't mind, because I can't fix it. All I can do is put it out there in the best way possible. So hopefully you'll be able to hear everyone, and if you can't, just turn it up. So again, the charity that we'd like you to help support today is Black Lives Matter. And then, if you didn't notice, I had mentioned that this is the heart-centered episode. So I am wearing this beautiful heart necklace and heart earrings, and I have other things that are on my body that are heart-centered. Some of them I cannot show you on this particular show, but tune in next week. I'm just kidding.
But what show can you share them on?
That's a different
Inquiring
vibe.
minds want to know.
So, Eric, I think you have a heart
I have a
necklace
heart
on.
necklace that I put on without being prompted to wear a heart. So there we
And
go.
Joe's got some heart glasses.
Yeah.
And if you at home, we'd love it if you have something with your heart, if you would go ahead and grab it and hold on to it or take a picture with it during this episode and post it in the comments. We would love that because we want to make this episode today all about sharing heart and operating from the heart and loving everyone on this planet with your heart. So that's what today is all about. This heart-centered, lovely episode with the words of Rumi. And I think actually it's about 2:04. We'll just give people a couple minutes to continue to turn in. And we've got the good things to look forward to. Connecting. Some of the states are starting to reopen and for lives to come back to some sense of normal so we can be together again. And in the meantime, it's been great to share these Verse and Vibe episodes with you, bringing us together when we're still far apart. I really like that hashtag, alone together. Kind of describes where we're all at right now.
That's what's so difficult about what's going on right now with, I don't mean to bring you down, but just the reality of the fabric of our society being kind of reminded of the deep tears in it along racism, and that it's this weird juxtaposition of the pandemic creating this sense of shared grief that kind of unites us, and then this reminder of how ununited we are and how we have to heal. We have to heal. So thank you for devoting a session to love and the infinite nature of it and the beauty of it and the healing nature of it. So thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you, Erika. That was really just super wise, and I think really highlights the juxtaposition of the drasticness, like you said, of the pandemic creating this togetherness, but then these other things really highlighting that some of it is not super together. But the good thing is we can change that and we can do better, and we will all heal each other through love. So without further ado, I think we should get into a love of verse, a love of vibe. And with that, without further ado, we present the writings of Rumi and other authors with Erika and Joe.
Thank
We hope you enjoy.
Thank you. And it is just going to be Rumi. Just some
fabulous.
selections. And I want to say a couple things about Rumi before we get started. And I'm not a Rumi scholar. I came to Rumi just, on my own occasionally over the years. And he's been enormously popular in this culture and around the world for his poems, love-oriented, beauty-oriented, this ecstatic sense of experience. But just in case you don't know, Rumi was born in 1207, so that's the 13th century. He was born in what is now, I think, he was born in an area that's now in what we now know as Afghanistan. And he was a Persian mystic. He was a holy man in the Sufi tradition, and so that's like a mystical form of Islam. And it was actually his son who went on to be part of the creation of like the whirling dervishes that many of you have heard of. But dervishes were prominent in Sufi culture before the whirling dervishes. And Rumi, in fact, a life-changing event in his life was when he met this dervish Shamsa Tabrizi, and I'm probably not pronouncing his name right. And the reason I mention that is when he started moving into the more ecstatic verse. He had a deep, deep love for this man, Shams, and it was through him he became an accomplished teacher, transformed into more of an ascetic. They were very, very intimate friends, and a lot of the love that Rumi talks about in his poetry is directed to Shamsa, and it's debatable over the years about whether they were just dear friends, because lover was used in a different way back then, or actual lovers. And I think part of the beauty and the mystery is that we don't know. So that's just a little background about Rumi. I'm no Rumi scholar, and I just want to share the book that these poems are coming from. This is the collected works. And Coleman Barks is one of the primary translators. If you look up Rumi on the internet, you'll see these translations by Coleman Barks. So we're drawing from this book. And so without too much more talking, I think we should really get into the music. And just to say that we're starting with a poem called The Guest House. And this has been an important poem for me in my own teaching of meditation, and I'm actually going to share a meditation with you after we read this poem and have some music in this poem, and I'll explain a little bit about why after we hear the poetry itself. But just to say one last thing, and that's about the difference between love and compassion, because we've saying love a lot here, and love is sending, tenderness and connection to others and sending them good wishes for wellness. But when we think about compassion, compassion is, in a sense, a more realistic, bigger view. It witnesses people right where they are and with a special attention to suffering. And it meets suffering with kindness. So one of the things about Rumi is he talks about being welcome to those aspects of you that are difficult as well as beautiful, and this poem really speaks to that. And he also reaches to that kind of poignant, bittersweet place in our heart that compassion touches so deeply. And right now, when the suffering is so much everywhere, it's not just love, but it's compassion that we need. Feeling moved by the suffering of others and being motivated to do something about it. And so we bring you the guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every moment, every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide. from beyond. So I'd now like to invite you to just continue with the mood of the words and the sounds that you just heard. And we're going to do a brief meditation. And if you'd like to participate in it, to really take a second and look inward. Maybe even close your eyes so you're not looking at the screen. And we're going to build on this metaphor as the body-mind, the inner space or the inner environment, as a guest house, as a place that hosts all your stuff. So taking a moment to just see how you're even holding your body as we move inside. If you're seated on a chair, letting your feet be flat on the floor so you can feel the earth beneath you. Feeling where your feet touch the earth as a sense of being rooted to this planet that holds us and gifts us with so many things. Noticing how you're holding your shoulders, breathing deeply in. If you are able to bring in a big, deep cleansing breath, deep into your belly, making some more fresh oxygen inside this place that carries your brain around and carries your heart around. Deep breath to nourish your heart, your body, and slowly letting it go. Maybe taking a couple slow, deep cleansing breaths. Taking time on the opening and thinking of that in-breath as a moment to just be here now as the air moves in, engaging with whatever is. And slowly releasing that and feeling your weight release into your seat. Land more firmly on this planet, grounding you. Maybe a couple more of those slow, deep breaths, and then gently allowing your body just to settle into its natural way of breathing. Letting the body breathe itself as it knows how to do. And sitting in this interior space, maybe staying connected to this moment by noticing the soft rhythm of your breathing body. Just gently noticing that as a way to stay connected to now. And otherwise just being present in the space of mind. With whatever's there, whatever comes up, there could be feelings, thoughts, sensations, which is fine. That's what the mind does. It has these ideas, it has feelings. Maybe just noticing what's there and letting the feeling of the breathing body keep you kind of grounded, rather than darting your attention all over the place. Even if there's a lot going on in your mind, that's okay. You can just kind of notice the feeling of the rhythm of the breath. And maybe a moment or two of silence, just sitting there in mind space, heart space, whatever you want to call the interior world. Gently being present with what is there. One of the things that comes up when we do this is we notice we have thoughts. Sometimes they have a theme. We can have preoccupations. We can have issues that visit us time and again. We can have aspects of ourselves that we might not like that show up, both in real life and in a meditation session. The metaphor of the guest house is helpful here. We can think of the mind or this interior space like a room where, oh, there's the thought of, what am I going to make for dinner? Or there's the thought of, my God, the world is falling apart. Or there's the thought of, I need a sip of water. Whatever it is, it could be trivial, it could be deep, it could be love lost, it could be the world torn, it could be the joy of a gathering or the sound of music. But as those things come up in your mind, you can greet each one of them as if they're arriving at the door of your house, welcoming them in. Now Rumi says, welcome and entertain them all. Some people say, you could be seated here and all of a sudden the memory of something comes up, you're trying to meditate, and the thought of how you were angered by someone yesterday, and it's perseverating, and you're preoccupied, or you're anxious about the state of the world. Greet it at your door and guide it to the corner and a chair and give it a cup of tea. Or maybe you don't want to give it a cup of tea. That sounds too friendly. Maybe it's a memory of something difficult or a scene that you witnessed just yesterday that's traumatic and awful. What do you do then? Greet it, see it. It's what you're carrying with you now. Tsoknyi Rinpoche talks about giving it a handshake and letting it find its way. So let's just sit for a moment with that imagery for the remainder of this time and just imagine your mind as a room and the thoughts or feelings about you that come up, that are in you. It could be about the world, but they're all in you. That's what you're carrying right now. Just greeting each with a handshake, noticing what it is, and letting it go. Each one in turn. This is a kind of self-compassion practice, of being kind towards your thoughts rather than battling them, kind towards your own issues rather than battling them, which enables us better to move ahead, resolve them or let them go. But just let them be right now. Welcome them. Treat each guest honorably. So we'll take a little break here, just check in with Rachel and
I
how's
love
it?
you, for real. And I hope for
I
those of
love
you
you
at
too, sweetie.
home, that was beautiful. Erica does this, if you didn't know, that she didn't just wing that for today. This is what she does for a living and other amazing things with helping people find their best versions of themselves. And that was really a beautiful meditation. I'm so grateful for you. That was really, I love how you tied that into the guest house. And for all of us, I think we have all these things that visit us. And if we can treat them with the same kindness, maybe, people always like being treated better with kindness. I would gather that emotions and all of those thoughts probably appreciate that too. Um, it
Well,
was great.
well, it's interesting. And what we mean by kindness is not like it doesn't have to mean that you're endorsing. Maybe there's this aspect of yourself that you want to change, and you don't have to be endorsing it, but it battling yourself inside your own mind is such a pointless thing and a waste of precious resources, So it's sort of like being okay. This is my shit. This is my stuff in my head. It's with me, and if you acknowledge it and see it, you're actually better able to make a choice of whether it directs your behavior or not, because these things are just sort of like under the surface all the time. But if you become more aware of them being there, and that handshake practice, I mean, oh, hi, there you are, that part of me. I get real self-disclosing when I share these examples. So I don't, but oh, as a middle child, that part of me that never is heard, or that part of me who got the short end of the stick, or whatever, those, we all have our issues, right, that we can see expressed in our behaviors. And the more we see them, we can exercise and have some bearing on what they are with some compassion, as we would toward a dear friend's problems. We can make better choices about who gets the microphone and guides this beast in the real world.
I'm working on a lot of that with fear. I'm sure a lot of you at home could recognize that, but that's for me what a lot of my thoughts are going to, being fearful of the time in our lives, the future. How do you pivot your business? You know, how do you sort through your friends where you're seeing sides of them? So I've been operating from a lot of fear, and I've been doing a lot of work in relation to not letting that be where I'm coming from. So it was really great to, again, just be able to say, oh, come on in, fear. I'll shake your hand. I might want to kick you in the butt on the way out, but for right now, I'm going to welcome you in. And um, that's some really great advice for living through these times. And speaking of living through these times, this is one of the reasons that Verse and Vibe was born. Originally as an idea that was going to be practiced out in the real world, like in live in nightclubs, back poetry readings go back to the 50s with Wavy Gravy and jazz musicians, and it's got a long and storied history of poetry and music being combined. And then when the pandemic put us all at home, I'm like, oh, I'm just going to do this online and create this creative space where we can all be together and share creativity. So this series has been one of the things that's been like the highlight of my week, and a joy to bring not just to the participants, but to all of you that are watching. Gives me an excuse to shower, wash my hair. It's those little things that we miss when we're told not to leave our house for almost 3 months. But I digress.
Yes.
So what's up next for us? We have some more music and poetry. What's next?
Right. The rest of it's pretty just going to be straight music and poetry, and Joe and I are going to jump into 3 more poems. So yeah, the next one's called Where Everything is Music.
And stay tuned because, sorry not to interrupt, but I want everyone to know that after the poetry, we have a very exciting sing-along that Joe chose. We're going to be channeling our inner Bob Marley.
Yeah.
So we're very excited. So stick around or pop back if you need to take a quick break, and come back at the end where we'll all sing along together and just really put some joyous vibrations out into the universe. Speaking of joyous vibrations, here's part 2 with Erika and Joe.
Where Everything is Music. don't worry about saving these songs. And if one of our instruments breaks, it doesn't matter. We have fallen into the place where everything is music. The strumming and the flute notes rise into the atmosphere. And even if the whole world's harp should burn up, there will still be hidden instruments playing. So the candle flickers and goes out. We have a piece of flint and a spark. This singing art is sea foam. The graceful movements come from a pearl somewhere on the ocean floor. Poems reach up like spindrift and the edge of driftwood along the beach, wanting. They derive from a slow and powerful root that we cannot see. Stop the words now. Open the window in the center of your chest and let the spirit fly in and out. The water wheel. Stay together, friends. Don't scatter and sleep. Our friendship is made of being awake. water wheel accepts water and turns and gives it away, weeping. That way it stays in the garden, whereas another roundness rolls through a dry riverbed looking for what it thinks it wants. Stay here, quivering with each moment like a drop of mercury. And our last poem is called A Thirsty Fish. Joe. I don't get tired of you. Don't grow weary of being compassionate toward me. All this thirst equipment must surely be tired of me. The water jar, the water carrier. I have a thirsty fish in me that can never find enough of what it's thirsty for. Show me the way to the ocean. Break these half measures, these small containers, all this fantasy and grief. Let my house be drowned in the wave that rose last night in the courtyard hidden in the center of my chest. Joseph fell like the moon into my well. The harvest I expected was washed away, but no matter. A fire has risen above my tombstone hat. I don't want learning or dignity or respectability. I want this music and this dawn and the warmth of your cheek against mine. The grief armies assemble, but I'm not going with them. This is how it always is when I finish a poem. A great silence comes over me, and I wonder why I ever thought to use language. Thank you. Those are the poems. I hope that was enough.
Those are some incredible words. Even
Do we
the
have a
last
way
word.
of making those available to people? Like if I could give you
Yes.
the text or something,
Yeah.
and for when you
If
archive
you send
this.
me the links, I will put them in right now. Well, during the sing along, I'll.
I don't
sing
have
along.
link. I mean, I have text that I could give you links.
We will make the poems available on our Verse and Vibe Facebook page. Either we'll take pictures from the book, or I did
No,
put
I
the
can find them on.
links.
No, there are links online. I just,
Okay.
yeah, I can put them, but I wouldn't.
Will you read that last line again where he talks about wondering why he ever used words? That just really spoke to me. And then Joe, with you talking back with the stand-up bass, I think I'm going to have to make sure that there's definitely more stand-up bass in my life. Highly-
The
I
last
support
stanza,
that.
yeah, the last stanza is, a great silence comes over me, and I wonder why I ever thought to use language.
God, so deep and so simple. It's
And
pretty
right before
incredible.
that, it's like, this is how it always is when I finish the poem. So it's sort of like, there's something that language is not sufficient for. And what's wonderful about having the music be a part of the sharing of the words is because music so often expresses things that are ineffable, and we can't articulate in words.
So speaking of that, Joe, being, I don't know if you've done a lot of call and response poetry work before or if ever.
I
This
have.
was
It's been a long time.
what 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 did you think about being able to hear words and then turn back and use your voice, which in this case is your instrument, to be able to have this kind of intimate conversation around poetry?
Well, this is just sort of dealing with the abstract, which is an area that I really seem to thrive in the abstract, and I seek out those moments where things are unscripted, and uh, being a person who lacks any sort of self discipline, I tend to enjoy those moments where you're just it's we're all just children in the same sandbox, creating our own little worlds and castles and playing with each other and building ours up, knocking it down, knocking down someone else's, starting a new one. So this is all great fun. I wish we could do this for a couple more hours. I'm just sort of my
I know,
brain is just
right?
sort of relaxing into this process, and
And I
I'm
could
just kind
totally
of warmed up
improvise
now.
words.
So
And you have a fantastic calming voice, so I have nothing better to do. I don't know if anyone else has a life, but we're all locked down. We definitely would love to have both of you back for another episode of Verse and Vibe.
fantastic.
As the
I would
series
totally do
goes,
it. I would
yeah,
love to do it live.
one
Yeah.
day, Erica, from your mouth to God's ears, I will have a stage full of poets and musicians and instruments and noises, and we will create art in the moment together that will be inspiring and vibratory in a nice way. That sounded kind of dirty. Please edit
Woo!
that out. If my
Vibratory,
mom is watching,
vibratory.
I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry, Mother. But this gets to one of the things that I included in the episode, because Verse and Vibe is not just about poetry. It's about verse, which could be any words, whether it's a favorite book or an author or a passage from something that's meaningful, and then the vibe brought by bringing the music together. In fact, it works so well, we were already anatomically ready to have verse and vibe in our lives. We're able to create some. Ooh, I like that better. That's more. Isn't that a gang sign
I
though?
just
Let's
gave you.
probably skip away from that. It's the verse and vibe creativity. Love your brothers and sisters gang.
Oh, it's this,
Um,
this.
Wait, but isn't this a gang sign? No, I wouldn't know.
I don't
Anyway, so
know.
it's verse and vibe.
Yeah.
But speaking of vibe, Joe picked a fantastic song for the times and also to sing along to. So we're going to bring a little Bob Marley to the party, because what's a party without Bob? And let's just see what we nope, can't see his face. Nope, can't see his face. But as soon as I leave the studio, so our sing-along works like this. So Erica and I are going to mute our microphones and leave the studio, and we're going to have Joe on the big screen. And he's going to play, and you guys at home are just going to sing along. So
Are we going to say goodbye officially before then,
after,
or
we can say
after?
goodbye now, after. So if you
We'll
don't
do
want
it
to stick
after.
around for the sing-along, then I have
If you
words
don't
for
want to stick
you.
around, thank you for coming. And if you
I'll
want to
shake
stick
your
around,
hand, like Erica said. Tune in next week. We've got some great episodes coming up with a tribute to Neil Cassidy, with a fantastic custom piece that was written about his whole life, with a prankster panel discussion at the beginning with some of the
Cool.
people that were actually on the bus. So that's really exciting. We have an episode about music and mantra coming up, which I'm very excited about, with the story of how the movement started in Haight-Ashbury in the 60s, kind of a little George Harrison kind of take with... and then we've got Poetry of the Black Panthers, which I think is incredibly important today to really spread that message and honor our brothers and sisters and however we can. and go into some history and hopefully change some minds and open some hearts and things. So a lot of cool things coming up on Verse and Vibe. We hope you'll tune in. But right now, one of my favorite things is at the end, we get to sing along together because we don't get to do it in person. So while we're doing this, I just imagine all of you at home, sitting in your living room, snapping your fingers, tapping your feet, and singing along with us. So please envision that as well. And Joe, take it away for a little Bob Marley.
Get up, stand up for your rights. Everybody now. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. One more time now. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Most people think great God will come from the skies, take away everything, make everybody high. If you know what life's worth, you will look for yours here on earth. And now you see the light. You stand up for your rights with me now. Come on. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Peaceful life is your right. Get up, stand up. We can't give up the fight. We're sick and tired of your ism, schism, game, dying and going to heaven in Jesus' name. Lord, we know when we understand. Almighty God is a living man. You can fool some people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. Now we see the light. We're gonna stand up for your rights. Yeah, you better get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up, everybody. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. We got to look after each other. Stand up for your rights. Be strong now. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight.
And I hope that we all stand up and get up for each other and for our planet. In fact, let's just stand up. Get up.
Woo! He's already standing up.
I'm like, I hope I remembered to put pants on for this episode. Because you never know.
Oops.
Someone is,
That's part of the episode where you talk about vibrations, right? And all that all that other. We keep hearing about this other episode. We want to see it.
Well, I thought, honestly, to be honest, I'm trying to theme a lot of these shows, and I thought doing a theme of erotica could be really powerful. Bad choice. Anyway, I'm just going to be quiet now since this is live. But I think
it's your editorial comments that are dirtier than the actual words you're using.
Oh, that would be fun. That would be interesting. So yeah, we try to theme these. So I think a theme of erotica has a big history in literature, and when you go back to the Renaissance and even earlier than that, you do find a lot of eroticism in text. Oh, maybe that's the oh god.
Mostly pictures, yeah.
So this will be the mostly picture episode. No one's going to be able to follow that, Erika. Everyone's going to be like, hold on, we'll be right back. We're going to go try that. Not try this at home, or try this at home. Anyway. Love doing this series, love meeting new people and giving art a chance to be alive and well. And I'm just so pleased with how this is turning out, and you guys coming and spending the afternoon and really setting the tone for me to welcome anything today for all of you. I think we got some hours left in the day, plus all these other days to come.
There's a lot of hours left in the day.
I love the welcoming. I really loved that whole guest house thing, because you're right. Your emotions do live inside you, and maybe if you treat them well, they're easier to manage and accept, and maybe they get bored being treated so well because it's not what they're looking for, so they leave.
I think we got to be careful. I just want to, since you brought that up, it's not necessarily about giving them lavish things or even being super nice. But it's kind of about acceptance. And instead of it being in a battle with these aspects of yourself, or even things that anything you're carrying inside your head at a time, it's to see it for what it is and treat it gently, not battle it. Because if you battle it, that's such a freaking waste of time because it's there anyway and you're giving it more energy. If you acknowledge it, I see that, and let it be in the corner having a cup of tea, reading a book, or just sitting there, eventually it actually will grab less of your attention because you're saying, yeah, I know you're there. Now be over here. It'll come back and bug you. But if you stop pushing it away or grabbing at it. It's really about suffering and clinging to experience, and how the way we do that incessantly is a problem. And we can release it just by being kind to ourselves. And yeah, so
You're here.
here, and be kind. And you can't really be kind to one another unless you're kind to yourself, because a lot of the expressions of aggression and violence come from that inner sense of unrest and hatred and insecurity. So that's why the self-compassion piece is so important to have for a better world.
And speaking of a better world, if you'd like to learn more about Erika and what she does and getting a chance to work with her individually, I just put the link to her website in the comments. And if you'd like to learn more about Joe and listen to his music and when his gig... I'm sorry, I'm not laughing, but I just laughed, Joe, that on your calendar, you have a sense of humor. So if you go to Joe's website, on his calendar, he has every date listed as, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I do want to share something that I have coming up on, what's the date? It's going to be June 5th. I'm looking for the date. June 5th, June 5th, June 5th. June 5th at the Psychedelic Sangha in New York City is, I'm doing a teaching on common humanity and self-compassion, teachings for the new world. And it's Psychedelic Sangha. And I got to quick find the link.
If you send me the link through...
I'm going to do it. We got a second. We got a second.
Joe, are you doing any teaching or anything from home? Are you doing any lessons or anything
Doing
you want
lots
to
of
talk
cooking.
about?
I'll cook you some tamales. I'm not much of a teacher. I'm self-taught, so the only
Tamales
advice I
sounds
have
pretty good. I'll take some tamales. Listen, so a funny story. So yesterday I made some nachos in the toaster oven, the kind that you can open and close, not the toasting kind. And I went out to talk to my neighbor and totally forgot about the nachos. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting out there talking over the fence, kind of like home improvement style. And I see all the smoke starting to pour out of my house. And I'm like, doesn't look right. And I go inside my whole entire house, like full of smoke. Still smells like that today. So technically, I should take you up on the tamales because the kitchen and I are not friends.
It's easy when you know how.
So we'll just give Erika a chance. We have
Yeah, give me two more. I don't know why I'm not finding it right now. So it's something weird on the website. But
no worries,
you just
if
keep
not,
chatting.
what's it
I know
called
where
again?
I can find it. Hold on one second.
Or go to Erika's Facebook page.
Yeah,
as well.
my
You could probably
professional
find it.
Facebook page has it, but I'm finding it. I'm not good at the self-promotion stuff, and I don't always have things
That's why I wanted
listed.
to. I am good at the promotion stuff.
Yeah. And my internet's, there it is. Okay, I found the event, and it's June 25th, and it's Psychedelic Sangha, and now it's going to put me, here we go. It's just I got it listed right now as a Facebook. It's called on June 25th, Common Humanity and Self-Compassion, Preparation for a New World at Psychedelic Sangha. And it's the Psychedelic Sangha New York City is, I'm sorry, I can't find,
I
we'll
found
put it
it.
with,
I found
okay.
it. I found it on Meetup. It's
It's on Meetup. Interesting.
It says with friends, psychedelicsangha.org. Nope, this is a different one. Anyway, we will put that in the comments for you on Erika's Facebook page, or you'll have to Google it to find it yourself.
Funny.
But I highly recommend tuning into anything Erika is doing because, as you can see, she's got a wonderful voice and a fantastic personality that shines through even the internet.
I don't know
really,
what you're
just
saying, my love.
saying
But
all
I'm not
sorts of
very
wonderful
organized. I can't believe I can't find it.
Again, tune in to the Verse and Vibe Facebook page for our upcoming events. We are so grateful to our guests today. And don't forget that if you enjoyed this performance, and I know everyone is struggling, but if you could donate $5, $10, everything adds up. Let's really support the Black Lives Matter movements.
Anything you can give.
We can make that change. And pay attention to how you treat other people in the world, and think twice before you judge someone by the color of their skin. I love all of you, seriously, for real. And I hope to see you next week. I hope to see you guys in person really soon. Keep in touch with us. If you have any ideas for Verse and Vibe, feel free to message our Facebook page. We're always looking for new themes that are relevant and important. And we'll see you soon. So I like to sign off with everyone doing our little Verse and Vibe symbols. Erica,
Thank you. And I want to
so
say
this
thank
is
you
Verse
again. I
and
want to say
Vibe.
thanks again. Thanks again. It was great. Yay,
Thanks,
Verse
y'all.
and Vibe. And
Great
Rachel,
to
I
see
put
you.
the name of the organization right there in the link. I'll get you the link. I think they're doing something with their website right now. Bye,
Great.
folks. Be well.
Verse
Be
and
safe.
Vibe.
See you.
Be nice to
Namaste.
each other. Be nice to each
Namaste.
other. Love you.
Namaste. That's
Namaste.
my ending. Namaste.
Bye.
Namaste.
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 Bye, Joe,
everyone.
baby.
Bye,
See
Bye,
you.
Joe.
Joe.
Bye.
Bye,
Thanks,
everyone.
Rachel Ann.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Bye.
Bye.